warned you that, again, we could see a divergence develop on the RSI here, the awesome oscillator, as I've talked about, very similar to what we had back over here. Again, you have these multiple point divergences at the April bottom and the October top. You had these divergences develop. You could see the same thing develop here. There is no divergence here. You don't have to have a divergence, but you'll likely get one. I pointed out that over here there was no divergence right here, and again the weekly charts confirmed that was not the bottom. And I've told you that. Everybody, no, you don't know what you're talking about. The people that never saw the crash coming, and again, it was nothing more than a miniature relief rally. So looking for a divergence to develop. Maybe a multiple divergence like we had at the bottom and the top, the previous bottom and top. I've warned you that the channel was expanding when I told you we're going to go up and hit this trend line but not move above 98,900 horizontal resistance and hit this trend line and the 100 period moving average. That's a pink line you see right there. I'm a big believer in the 100 period moving average. We got rejection there. And I told you that moon boys better pray that my expanded channel does not play out, because I told you that means that we go below 60,000. You know, 60 to 63,000 was my minimum objective target. 50 to 52% decline. That's what we did to kick off the last bear market. I talked about these scenarios and coming down and hitting this lower channel line. Maybe you hit it once or twice. This drags out on into March, possibly even April. Sometimes these things take longer than we think. Over here it was months from July all the way to October until the diversion's completed. A little bit less than that at the April low. But again, I told you we're going down to the lower end of this channel. And if we take our time getting there, January 14th high, I told you we can go into the 50,000 range. And that's what I think is going to happen. I think you'll get a divergence here. Maybe that marks a bottom, but it also can form a triple divergence as we saw over here. Big rally back up and come back down and still make a lower low. So we'll be watching for clues and evidence. I told you the 200 period is dropping below Bitcoin's average price, suggesting we get another big push down here, and that probably takes us down to the low to mid 50,000 range. My guess is we're going to try to bottom around 51 to 53,000. I told you we had some momentum bullish signals telling us we're going to get a bounce. We had a couple right here with these bounces. If we have now a triangle, we're now continuing lower if it's now playing out. But you had, again, trending signals, swing trend signals remain bearish. Got the bearish signals back up here, got the reaffirming the reversal and the topping signal here. But we've had these signals give us these bounces here with the final exit point, here, back over here at the bigger miniature relief rally, here with our first rally bounce after we began to turn off of 97,000. Again, you're getting the same thing here, but the trending signals are still bearish. This is just looking at short-term price fluctuations. Sometimes they call bottoms, and sometimes they call tops. Again, a good job of marking some of these turning points. But I pointed out the trending signals have remained bearish. I see no evidence of a bottom. As I keep saying, I'm looking down at this lower channel line. That's where I think we're going. Signals are still bearish here. We're still in the negative region of the channel. Signals are still bearish here with the swing trend signals, and channel is still bearish. Bearish since just after the top when the largest liquidation in crypto history happened. It's been bearish consistently. It turned briefly bullish here and reverted right back to bearish here with the bars. We couldn't move into the positive portion of the channel. Looking at this chart, are signals bullish or bearish right now? They're bearish. I think you're going to see a bottom. I think my signals will eventually revert back to bullish with the candles on my indicators, and I eventually think we'll move back into the positive region of the channel. But right now, signals remain bearish. Again, my signals which are correct, are going to tell me when Bitcoin has bottomed. I see no evidence of a bottom yet. And again, signals are bearish. Bars are still red. They turn bearish. We formed a rising wedge or bear flag if we take it from this low. Ours were briefly bullish and then reverted right back to bearish, getting rejection at the 100 period as I correctly predicted into this trend line. And again, reaffirming this bearish signal back over here. I'm going to be looking for something like this to develop, whether a divergence or a multiple point divergence, and that's what we had at the top as well. The signals do a good job in marking tops, bottoms. That's why I got so bullish down here at the bottom. We hit major support levels. Again, warning sign came back in August and back in July. Tried to turn it, and we ended up getting that triple bearish divergence. Tried to flip the trend back to bullish. It failed. They fake out that the herd got trapped with. The breakout was a fake out, and again, we moved back into the lower portion of the channel. We've been bearish ever since. So again, the sell-off playing out as I warned you. Told you that rally was going to fail, even though I predicted the rally. Just like over here, I predicted the rally. I told you it was going to fail. Back on the 5th and 6th, I told you we were getting a 9-count sequence count bottom. I told you we were going to get a rally back up. After a 39%, nearly 39% drop, nothing goes straight down. I told you the rally would fail. Oh, gee, I was right. But I am actively looking for a bottom now that we've reached my target levels. When we find a bottom, my signals are going to start turning back to bullish, and maybe it forms a triple bullish divergence on the Awesome Oscillator and the RSI. We'll see. As I'm making the video, Bitcoin is now down 3.15%. Again, it was down more than 4%. Our measured move is played out, minimum objective target. We'll see if we go lower here. Again, this is the area down in here where I think Bitcoin will bottom somewhere. Then I think we get a powerful rally back up towards the 200 period, towards Bitcoin's average price, towards 97,900, this peak right here. And again, you're either going to get a lower high or a higher high above that level. Historically, that is what has happened. We've rallied up towards that previous high. Now, historically, we've stalled at the 50% retracement, getting a lower high. Is it the same with the institutions involved? We'll see. Again, I'm hoping for the mother of all short squeezes, and you get a massive rally. There's a psychological level around 100,000 there. That psychological number, you're going to just fall short of it in all likelihood in the 90,000s level, somewhere below 97,900, or try to push above it and have the ultimate fake out. We'll see how it plays out, but currently I'm looking for a bottom. Warned you about the measured move over and over again, laughed at, told what a dope I was, 80,000 at the bottom, clearly can't you see that? And yet I told you over and over about the measured move, measuring down to 61,000. Told you that is right in line with my target level of 60 to 63,000, a 50 to 52% drop. I was correct. At a nearly 39% drop here. After that 36% drop, in totality 52.5%. And again, it's probably not over. I don't see evidence of a bottom yet. I'm looking for it. Again, I'm actively looking for a bottom. I believe we're going to get a massive bear market rally to go back up and test this high and move towards the 200 period moving average, or maybe it even starts turning back up if we get a powerful rally. So we'll be watching to see just how big the bear market rally is. Now, as I've said, I think Bitcoin will form divergences on the Awesome Oscillator. And here in the daily time frame, I think it will form a divergence on the RSI, the MACD. It might be multiple point divergences that develop. We don't have a divergence here. I see no evidence of a bottom here. Just as I told you, 80,000 was not the bottom. The weekly signals confirm that to me. I don't see evidence of a bottom here, but I think a bottom will develop. I'm looking for a divergence on the Awesome Oscillator, and again, towards that lower channel line and the confluence of support levels that I've talked about, horizontal support, the moving averages in the weekly time frame, the 2 and 300 week moving averages. I think you can see something similar to what we had at the April bottom. At the April bottom, we had a divergence develop, and then it turned into a larger divergence. We had this first divergence. I think you could see something like that, and then a larger triple bullish divergence that mark the bottom. Whether a triple bullish divergence forms, we'll see. That's why I say you can hit that lower boundary of the channel a couple times. The support. Now, if we break that support, then you may try to go under 49,000, but I think you have a confluence of support there that will likely form a bottom. I'm looking for something like that to develop here, where you get a divergence and then maybe a triple divergence. We had a triple divergence at the April low. We had a triple bearish divergence at the October high. Doesn't mean we have to do it again, but you could. Oftentimes it is those multiple point divergences that cause turning points. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like my charts, you like my indicators, and you will, then take a moment and help out. Again, I don't have any sponsors, just a direct relationship with you. Again, I turn those offers down. They contact me all the time. Most YouTube channels make their money through sponsors. I choose not to do that. I just put it all out there for free and just ask that you do what you can to help out. These are the signals that I use to educate myself on Bitcoin. I hope they certainly help you. Please follow the link below. It'll take you to a secured site and you can donate any amount you want. I thank you for your consideration for that. Bitcoin, again, we've had the signals here. The signal turned bearish the week after the top. I had signals that turned bearish the week of the top. Now here, again, signals remain bearish. We're seeing the awesome oscillator in the weekly time frame move to a new low. I think it will eventually bottom and you'll see green probably at lower levels that I'm talking about. And again, watching this low at 49,000. Does it hold? My guess is it will. I could be wrong. My signals in the daily time frame would have to mark a bottom above it if it's going to hold. My guess is it will. But remember, my signals are bearish in the weekly time frame, bearish in the daily time frame. I am looking for a bottom, and I think you're going to eventually see this complete. And I think the green bars will take us back again towards this high over here and give us the bear market rally. I think it's likely going to stay in the negative region. Eventually, we may see another bear market rally if this extends on for a very long time. And again, the 4-year cycle is still intact. It could break if this goes past October of 2026. The 4-year cycle is still intact. They're telling us, oh no, the 4-year cycle is broken because it doesn't fit the bullish narrative. 4-year cycle is still intact, but it could break if we get a very bad recession that gives us an extended bear market. But right now, you got a possible bottom that could happen by October of 20. That's what is that? 8 months from now, you could see a bottom. Possibly. So again, we'll be watching. Does the 4-year cycle, at some point, the 4-year cycle may break, but right now it sure hasn't. But Bitcoin is still young. So we'll be watching. But again, I'll be watching to see if we eventually get green bars that try to give us a bear market rally here. Okay, we've got Bitcoin and markets being rattled by Trump's tariffs. Again, Trump raised implemented a global tariff on Friday at 10% after the Supreme Court said his tariffs being implemented under the International Economic Emergency Powers Act were unlawful, but they reaffirmed that he had the power to implement tariffs with other tools, and Trump did that immediately, implementing a 10% global tariff. He raised it over the weekend to 15%, rattling markets, and we're getting a sell-off. And Trump warned that any country that wants to play games is going to get a higher tariff. Buyer beware. Again, the Trump administration, they have the right to do tariffs. There are other avenues to go down. Trump has implemented this 5-month global tariff until giving time for the administration to implement other tariffs. These are temporary tariffs. In order for them to continue, they have to be approved by Congress, but it is the president's right to implement a 5-month global tariff, which he has done. It's creating a big sell-off with Bitcoin and crypto. Bitcoin closed out the Sunday session, getting the weekly bar. It was down 1.71% for the week. Now, currently, as we start the new week, it's down 3.39%. It was down more than that, more than 4%. At the lows of the session in the daily time frame, and here in the weekly time frame. Again, we're likely headed back to the 200 period to undercut the 60,000 lows, I said, and probably will drop below it and hit the lower end of the channel. And again, that could take us down towards the low 50,000 range, 51 to 53,000, or possibly a little higher, 54, 55, 56,000. You might go all the way down towards the 300-week moving average. Again, these moving averages have marked bottoms for Bitcoin in the past, and I think that that will be the same for the bear market, the crash to kick off the bear market. But the narrative is going to be, that's the bottom, it's over, by the people that never, ever saw the top, never saw the crash coming, told us, again, all the way down that, they told us we had a bottom at 105,000, 103,000, 99,000, and here at 80,000, and now the same people telling us we have a bottom at 60,000. I predicted the top, or I called the top, predicted the crash, and told you we were going to go down to 60 to 63,000. We hit 60,000, my minimum objective target, so I'm looking for a bottom, but this is going to be very deceptive. People are going to believe the bottom is in, and you're going to see this bear market rally, in my opinion, coming back up to test the what I'm calling a miniature relief rally here, and you'll either get a lower high below that near the 100 period or so and a Fibonacci retracement, maybe towards a 50% retracement. Historically, we've stalled around the 50% retracement or just above it, just under the 61.8 Fibonacci for the bear market rallies. Again, with the institutions involved, maybe we get a bigger rally, maybe it stays the same. We are possibly going to get a bigger sell-off, so maybe we get a bigger rally. We'll see what happens, but again, historically, you've rallied back up towards the 50-period moving average, and the last one, we overthrew that level with the rally back up towards it. So we'll be watching to see how it all unfolds, but be watching this area. There's horizontal support, as I've talked about here. And again, I think this 49,000 area, as I told you from the top, told you we're going to take out 74,000, but find a bottom likely above 49,000, this low right here. That's what we did at the last bear crash to kick off the bear market. We didn't take out this low, but we took out this one. And I keep telling you, I've been telling you that all the way down. We're going to take this low out, go back to the 200 period, and try to find a bottom. Been talking about a bottom developing around the 200 and 300 week moving average. That historically has been where the bottoms have been. I think you're going to bounce off these levels. I think it's going to fake out a lot of people, and then I think you're going to come back. I think you're going to, come down here, bottom somewhere around these moving averages or in between them maybe or something, and then I think you're going to get a powerful bear market rally again, maybe under 97,000, maybe above it. And I told you again in my last video, I told you, wouldn't it be grand if we went above 100,000? And again, I have people tell me, no way, you're predicting. I'm not predicting we're going to go to 110,000, the 78.6 Fibonacci. Historically, we've stalled at the 50% retracement. I said, wouldn't it be terrific if that happened with the institutions involved? I'm not predicting that would happen. I'm telling you, we're either going to get a lower high or you're going to get a higher high. I hope we get a higher high. But again, some people only hear what they want to hear, so they want to believe that I'm saying we're going to go to the 78.6 Fibonacci. I'm saying we could go to the 78.6 Fibonacci with the institutions involved this time around. It's possible. So we'll see what happens. But again, this is what I think is going to happen. And if we zoom out on the weekly chart, you can see right here, the 200, the black line, the 300-week moving average, again, have marked bottoms. This is why people are going to say that the bottom is in. I'm just warning you ahead of time, just as I told you how we would turn off this resistance area, these highs pointing to the next high, these highs back in the 2021, the two 2021 peaks. So too, you're going to bottom with this trend line right here, around this area, probably breaching it. Maybe you get another wick down. near the 200 and 300 week moving average, and then you get your big bear market rally. But the 200 and 300 week moving average is going to act as support, just as this trend line acted as resistance, and our trend line here. Eventually, I think we're moving to this trend line. That's outrageous! Never gonna happen. You know what? Hello, look at this chart. Bitcoin bear market 86%, 84%. The pandemic sell-off 71%. The bear market, the last bear market, the smallest one we've had, 78.5%. The one before this, that's not seen on this chart, 93%. The Bitcoin bear markets have been 80 to 90%. So what I'm saying is normal. What's outrageous is somebody coming out and saying in September and October that Bitcoin's going to go to 200 and 250,000 in 2 months, increase in 2 trillion in market cap. It's never done before. By the end of 2025, by December of 2025, that's outrageous. Bitcoin tops and crashes and closes at 87,000 for the year, not at 200,000, not at 220 or 250,000. That's outrageous. And at the beginning of January to say Bitcoin in the next 3 weeks is going to be doubled from 90,000, the bounce off 80,000, to 180,000 at new highs in 3 weeks by the end of January. That's outrageous. What I'm saying is not outrageous. What I'm saying is historically normal. I think Bitcoin will eventually take up a 200 and 300 week moving average and get an 80 to 90% drop. Why? Because that's what Bitcoin's done in the past. Possible the bear markets are getting smaller and smaller with institutions now involved. Maybe you get a 70 plus percent drop. I'm open-minded to that. That still takes Bitcoin down to 70% drop is still 37,000 Bitcoin. 80% drop, 25,000, 90% plus drop, 11,000 to 13,000. I think you're going back to this trend line right here. As I've said, I think you'll drop below the 200-week moving average and it will begin to tilt lower. I think there's going to be a belief that we've bottomed at the 200 and 300-week moving average. I think it will be a bottom, a local bottom for the bear market, the crash to kick off the bear market. But then I think you're going to end up going much lower. Why? Because you're going to likely see a really bad recession. You're going to see a banking crisis, and you're going to see a dot-com style bust in the stock market. Bitcoin's never experienced any of that, and I think that will create a bigger sell. That's why I'm leaning towards Bitcoin getting a 90% drop. I think Bitcoin moves back to 12 or 13,000 in all likelihood. Probably somewhere my target's between 12, 13,000, maybe 11,000 if we get a bigger drop than 90%. But about 12, 13,000 to 25,000 is my target range. I think it is reasonable to believe that Bitcoin will do that again. So I'm looking for a bottom here around this area, this confluence of support. As I told you, I thought we'd take out 74,000, but I thought this 49,000 area would hold. Our 300-week moving averages at 50,000. I think you have something similar to this. Again, the head and shoulders with the slanted neckline right here, slanted neckline. You broke this low over here in the right shoulder, but you didn't take out this low right here until later. I think you're going to see something similar to that here, again, with the slanted neckline. I've warned you over and over. I've warned you that, again, we could stall right here with a lower high, lower than this level, or we can go up back up to the trend line and still stall. Again, we had this trend line break. We back tested it. We got rejection. We're hovering under and getting rejection at that trend line and the 50-period moving average here in the 4-hour time frame. We saw a lower high develop in the MACD rollover, possible confirmation of a lower high, lower low, now that we're breaking down to a new low. So again, back testing that trend line. Now we have this trend line. Maybe we back test that, maybe we don't. But again, talked about moving up to this trend line, or maybe closer to the 200 period and 74,000, or just getting a back test of this level and getting a lower high. I talked about all three of those scenarios. Again, I'm looking for clues. If we've now completed a wave 4, are we getting wave 5, or is wave 3 not yet done? I've marked the scenarios here. The red count would have this as a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and now a 5, and a possible triangle completing, a continuation triangle completing, or the alternative, the black count, we have 1, 2, this whole thing down is 3, then we get 4, and then we get 5. So again, looking at how this unfolds, shorter term price fluctuations are harder to call than the main movement, so it can unfold in a couple of different ways. The Elliott wave is not a Nostradamus indicator to predict the future. It's looking at determining price direction by the process of elimination, and so we look for impulsive or corrective counts. A potential impulsive move to the downside in a larger correction move from the Bitcoin top. So we're looking for clues here. Warned you at this peak right here, we had a hidden bearish divergence. And we tried to get back up above the 50 level in the RSI and turned right back down off the 50 period moving average, getting another 50-50 sell signal here in the 4-hour time frame. Now here's what that looks like in the daily time frame, and I've talked about reaching the horizontal support in the weekly time frame, but that I've talked about the 49,000 to 54,000 area or so. There's major support down there. This trend line right here, again, I've talked about coming down and reaching this level. Maybe you tag it a time or two. We didn't quite reach it here. Remember, I told you back up here, we had a triangle, and I predicted back on January 2nd and 3rd and in late December that we were going to rally back up to the 100 period moving average and form the bear flag, and it would be a continuation pattern. It would be a continuation of this, and I warned you we were going to start the 100 period but not move above 98,900. How many people would dare to even say something like that? Good indicators, and I warned you, and I looked at support and resistance, and that's why I told you. I always tell you exactly what I think. I'm not always going to be right. The only thing I've gotten wrong on this whole thing is right here. I even got the sell-off right. I said we were going to sell off with the Fed. We were, but I told you I thought we'd probably resume the decline. But then I changed it as we consolidated and found support at the support zone. And I told you late December, early January, where the signals were resetting back to bullish, and we're going to go up to the 100 period moving average and this upper boundary, which is a 38.2 Fibonacci of this decline. And I was right. Again, that's the only thing I've gotten wrong through this entire decline, even predicting the rallies, even predicting the rally here before it ever happened, and then reaffirming the signal back here late December, early January. Very few people will have the guts to tell you exactly what they think. I have the guts to tell you. Right or wrong, I have the guts to tell you I've been right. We have good indicators. When you look at support and resistance levels, again, you can make some absolutely incredible calls. Just as I'm telling you, I think we're going to bottom down here 50, 51,000, 52, 53,000, or I'm sorry, 51,000 to 53,000 of that 300-week moving average at 50,000. And again, you might bottom out around 54, 55, 56, 57,000 in the mid 50,000 or high 50,000 level, possible, but I'm looking for a bottom down in here. And then I'm looking for a massive rally, bear market rally up here, as I've talked about. And in my last video, I talked about, wouldn't it be something if we rally back up to the 110,078.6 Fibonacci? Again, as I've said, I'm not predicting that. I got people tell me, oh, there's no way your prediction's going to happen. I'm not predicting that. I'm predicting we're going to get a massive rally that's going to come just under this level or just over it. And if it is over it, wouldn't it be spectacular? Wouldn't it be spectacular if Bitcoin rallied up that big? I hope it does, but I'm not predicting that. And again, people cherry pick. People like to cherry pick what they want to hear. Again, like the bears love me now, they're going to hate me soon when I call bottom and predict this massive rally. That's why I say you're going to get the mother of all short squeezes. People get very, very bearish at bottoms, very, very bullish at tops. I'm looking for a bottom. My target level, minimum objective target, I'm looking for a bottom. I don't think it's in yet, but I'm looking for a bottom. So again, this count, my primary wave 1, primary wave 2, primary wave 3, primary wave 4. I think you're in an extended primary wave 5 that's probably going to end here late February or as we go into March somewhere. So again, depending on how fast it happens, we've got the State of the Union tomorrow. We got Trump rattling markets with his tariffs. The U.S. is likely going to strike Iran by the first week of March. Trump gave a 10 to 15-day deadline. It's likely going to happen. Will that rattle markets? We'll see. It's going to likely be a campaign, a military campaign that goes on for several weeks. Sometimes geopolitical issues rattle markets, other times they don't. So we don't know. But again, stock market's now playing catch up to Bitcoin just as it did. The same scenario. Bitcoin got the sell-off ahead of the stock market back in 2021 and early 2022. Stock market went sideways, formed double top patterns. We've got the same thing right now. You can watch my latest stock market video at the end of this video on my Ron Walker channel.